Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI Podcast. I am Donnie Druin. You can follow me on Twitter at Donnie Druin. Check out our work at si.com/NFL/Cardinals. Richie Bradshaw will be joining us here in a few moments. It's just me solo dolo to begin what is quite honestly probably one of the tougher episodes we're going to have to do here. I think that's just based off of my nature as an optimist. But after what I saw with my own two eyes yesterday happen at State Farm Stadium, we got to have a talk. We have to take a step back and evaluate things for maybe what they were instead of what we had hoped them to be. And I did already see some people in the chat missing this. Richie is so lucky. Yeah, no, for sure, especially after what happened to the Ravens. Kojak, thanks for checking us out, my man. Says the game was so bad, going 2-15 this year with the number one pick. What players should we trade off for draft picks? I nominate Drew Petzing and Nick L. Thanks for checking us out. Says the season is over. Time to blow it up in the offseason. Fire Gannon, fire Petzing, trade Murray. And that seems to be the an overarching thing with Cardinals fans the past few years. Just the fire everybody, take the get rid of everything, burn it all to the ground, start anew. And we rode into 2025 with expectations of a postseason appearance. The Cardinals started out 2-0. Teams historically who do that make the playoffs roughly about 70% of the time. The Cardinals are now 2-3. They will be going on the road against the Indianapolis Colts, followed by a home date against the Green Bay Packers before their bye week. And there's a very real possibility in what was quote unquote the easiest part of their schedule to start out 2025 that they could be 2-5 entering the bye week. And it just seems like time after time, game after game, they just consistently find ways to lose. And the difference between good and great football teams is that ability to find that tough margin. We're going to bring in Richie here, right here. Richie, I was just ending my monologue with yikes. I can't believe we saw what we did at State Farm Stadium yesterday. And for a team that had so many playoff expectations, it really seems like that's down the drain now.
I was going to say that might be gone, man.
It really could. And just,
right. I understand.
I sat there. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I understand it's week 5. We can't give up on everything. This is one of those games where, because I had put a piece out recently that was overreactions, but also some underreactions, because I don't know if I can blame you at this point. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, for sure. And to shout out guy Clayton and Chaz, bro, I supported this rebuild so hard in the season that was set up perfectly for us to win schedule-wise and roster-wise. This is the worst year of it. And I think, Richie, you and I sit here somewhat stunned for the progress that we had seen in year 1 and year 2 of the rebuild, and for all of the hype that arrived with the Cardinals this offseason, spending so much money on the defensive side of the ball, spending the draft capital on the defensive side of the ball. Like, this was a team that was supposed to compete for a playoff spot. An NFC West title, maybe you could talk about it one way or another, but this is a team that was supposed to be in it until the very, very end. And like you said, we just finished up week 5. There's so much football left, but evaluating what we can evaluate, it doesn't look like it.
No. And the things that we thought were going to be the strengths of this team have not been that. And some of that's been partly due to injury, right? The secondary has not held up as well as we wanted it to, but that's also hard to do when you are as depleted as you are. But what's the excuse for the run game? Because even when James Conner was healthy, even when Trey Benson was healthy, it was a putrid unit. And yesterday, they have a 71-yard run that once again lifts up the rest of the production. You look at it and you're like, oh, that's not a bad day. 168 rushing yards. Take away the 71-yard run. Donnie, we've done this every single week where I have come on here and I've said, take away that big run. Look what else is there. You shouldn't be saying that every single week. You should be saying, man, that run emphasized how good the run game was. And instead you're like, no, that run lies to you. This is why box score scouting is so dangerous, because by the end of the year, I would not be surprised if the Cardinals' rushing attack was in the top half of the league. And then me and you were sitting there and you're like, Jeremiah Love's on the board in the first round. You might think about it because that's where they're at with how they are unable to run the football. And now the injuries are stacking up. The offensive line is playing terrible. The play calling, I feel like, is even worse than we could have imagined it being. And that was already a huge question mark for us going into the year.
Yeah,
There's
man.
just there's so many weaknesses with this team. And the things that we were hoping would be strengths are not. They're just not.
Yeah, it's quite incredible how the last 3 weeks have unfolded. For those who don't know, the Cardinals did become the first team in NFL history to lose 3 consecutive games on scores ending in regulation. So the final play in regulation, they became the first team in NFL history to lose 3 straight weeks like that. They ended 99.9 win probability yesterday against the Tennessee Titans in Week 5, and I think a perfect way to kind of kickstart this is Richie.
He should be cut.
Why?
He should be cut. And I'm not kidding either. He should be cut. I don't care how weak the backfield is. That is so inexcusable. He should be cut. There is no answer to your question of why. I was talking with Amanda about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I was like, look, if our kids are going to be playing football or anything like that, there's one thing I want to make sure they do. Hold on to the ball until you are through the back of the end zone. It's such an avoidable mistake. And it irritates me to no extent. And there's a clip of Jonathan Gannon going berserk, and I promise you he was being too nice. Whatever was said, he was being too nice.
That clip, I think, is being somewhat contorted. I think he was trying to hype up Amari in that moment. Knowing Jonathan Gannon, knowing his relationship with Amari, I don't think he was like laying into him. I think it was like, hey, like it came off as abrasive. And I just don't think Jonathan Gannon is that type of guy. What I will say is it was nice to see some fire, some emotion out of that Cardinals sideline whenever that happened. But
right. No, he should be cut. And I'll keep it as simple as that, Donnie. That can't happen ever.
And dude, like I watched all of it snowball from the press box, and I went down to interviews and went into the locker room, came back up, and dude, I'm just sitting there in an empty State Farm Stadium, speechless. And like, just so people know, like, I'm not a Cardinals fan. Richie's not a Cardinals fan. Like, we did not grow up Cardinals fans. I don't have any emotional attachment to this team. You also do not have any emotional attachment to this team. And I just sat there in disbelief, dude. I still sit here.
Yeah.
Not fully grasping what I watched. And this was the turning point of everything. The Amari DiMercato, if he hangs onto the ball for a half more second, the Cardinals are up 28-6 in the fourth quarter. And I think Kyler said this perfectly after the game. Kyler Murray, meeting with reporters, said they were one play away from giving up. This was that play. This is that play where if you're the Titans and you see Amari go into the end zone, you're down 28-6 in the fourth quarter. You're like, there it is. There it is. But dude, and it's so funny because Jonathan Gannon has been on record so many times talking about how he doesn't believe in momentum, how it's just a collection of small individual things.
Momentum.
I bet he does now. I bet he does now, man. But
you should. Momentum's a very real thing, JG.
Fucking this on Amari really quick. It's like, what do you do? And like, I know so many people, and like you're one of them, are just pounding the table for him to be cut. But like, are the Cardinals in a position to do that?
No, but
this guy was supposed to be a starting 1A to a 1B running back, and like, yeah, you can limit his carries, yeah, you can do whatever, but I'm not sure cutting him is the ultimate right move. Not right now.
I will tell you, I can respect that the Jets cut guys in consecutive games for making those kind of mistakes. And the Jets, I understand, are in a dire situation, but all of a sudden, I don't know that the Cardinals are in that much of a different space. Like, you need to send some kind of message that this kind of play is not going to be tolerated. This level of, what is the nicest way I can put it?
Search for it.
It's, I suppose, thinking you're that good when the team is now 2-3, that you can just be showboating at any point in time. I love showboating. I love that the NFL lowered down their standards for excessive celebrations and stuff like that. I love it. If you are going to start putting your team into situations where you are losing football games because of that, then you shouldn't be a part of this team. Emari Demercado is a very talented football player. There's a reason the Cardinals have him on the team. There's a reason that fans really like him, why he's so exciting. He's a lightning bolt. He's fantastic. You're 2-3. You could be 4-1, easily be 4-1, and you're not. And
You're not.
now the team is making these inexcusable decisions. I'm sorry. Bye.
I get it. I get it. Dude, if they came out today and said, yeah, the Arizona Cardinals have cut Emari Demercado, I get it.
I'd applaud him.
I fully understand it.
You're a grown man.
They say one game does not win or lose a football. Sorry, one play doesn't win or lose a football game. But Richie, I would be hard pressed to believe that if Amari doesn't drop this ball half a yard into the end zone, that the Cardinals don't come out. And we, instead of having this conversation we are right now, we're talking about how the Cardinals needed that bounce back win. And now maybe, okay, if we can just somehow go into Indianapolis, play some good football, they'll be 4-2 with the Green Bay Packers coming to town. Then you have the bye week, and you kind of get yourself loaded for the second half of the schedule. Now it's like fight or flight mode for me. It really, really is. And like, you have backed yourself into a corner to where you are going to need a lot of things to go your way the rest of the year for this to happen. And like, I get it. Like, they're 3 plays away from being 5-0. They're 2 plays away from being 0-5.
Yeah.
That's just wild, man. Let's get to the chat really quick, Richie. XZ is popping here. Says the Cardinals have massive leadership and cultural problems. Is it Kyler? Is it Gannon? Is it Bidwell? I'm not sure, but the culture within the Cardinals is just bad. Not a lot of urgency unless it's a Kyler game-winning drive. Said the ball bouncing off Kyler's face is the definition of what the organization is right now. It's just a bounce. How many other organizations have these mistakes week after week after week? Kojat also said, I like JG, but if you can stand with putzing, then he also needs to be fired. And then he also added, it is the helmet doink.
The helmet doink
so
was
funny.
just perfect encapsulation of that game, though.
Truly.
More than dropping the ball at the 1 yard line, it was the ball hitting Kyler's helmet where you're like, that is exactly the way this game feels.
Well, another play, Richie, was the Danger and Taylor Demerson interception on Cam Ward before the ball was fumbled into the end zone and the Titans recovered, gift wrapping them a touchdown and making it a 2-point game? 2-point game. It was just like the perfect shitstorm of stuff that could happen for the Arizona Cardinals happened. And the problem is not that happening, because Richie, you and I have watched a lot of football, brother. We have seen weird things happen over and over and over again. So the weird stuff with an oblong shaped football is kind of expected. But for this to continually be a problem and to let that snowball into something bigger. And I want to touch on this. The Cardinals have a massive leadership and cultural problems. Culture was the buzzword for Jonathan Gannon entering this program.
Sure was.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know, man, but I will tell you that one thing that I live firmly by is talk is cheap. And there's been a lot of talk from this organization. A lot of talk. This team's different. This team is building something. We're almost there. We're on the cusp. You are or you weren't. Donnie, Richie Bradshaw believes in a lot of things. One of the things he does not believe in is moral victories. And it feels like under the Jonathan Gannon era, there's been a lot of moral victories for the team to build off of. And I'm not saying you can't take stuff from losses. I'm not saying you can't take stuff from wins and move them forward. But to call something a moral victory is just a nice way to wrap up it being a loss. We're past that point now. There is no more moral
Fully.
victories. There's no more we're going to be better. There's no more I think we're around the corner. No, win football games. Win football games. That's where we're at. One of the things I talked about going into the year was because the Cardinals had such a massive jump from year 1 to year 2 by doubling your win total and everything. What Jonathan Gannon did was raise the minimum expectation. And it's a very good thing that he did. The problem is he's not ready. This team is not ready to live up to the new minimum expectation. And that's unacceptable because why wouldn't you be able to be better than where you were before after an offseason where you got better? Do you want to know why the fans are so pissed? It's because you gave them a reason to believe. If they were coming off of consecutive 4-win seasons, yeah, we're probably not blinking an eye at this game. We're like, yep, we're still a ways to go.
You're laughing at that point.
Right. And I promise you the reason fans were laughing yesterday is because they don't want to swear in front of the family. Because that was an awful game. That was Arizona Cardinal fans, I'm sorry. Because I saw a lot of people that were like, this is the most Arizona Cardinals thing. And as someone who grew up in the Valley, yeah, I can tell you that I may not be like diehard fan, but I do root for the home team. And I have seen some bad losses. This is up there. In my 30 years of living out here and watching Arizona Cardinals football with my family, that is one of the worst losses I have ever seen for the Cardinals.
Yeah,
That was
I think
putrid.
Dan Bickley put it best today. It's not
That's rare.
the worst. It's not the most heartbreaking, but boy, is it the most embarrassing. And it's
Yeah.
got to be up there. Kyler Murray, talking after the game, was asked if this is the worst loss he's ever taken as a pro, and he said it might be number one.
Yeah.
Truly. It I'm just speechless, man. Like really, like I feel almost hoodwinked into believing this team was going to be playoff caliber this year.
Schmeppledorfed.
That's not even a word, and I agree with you. And you know, to bird's eye views point, shout out to Kyler, does phenomenal
Shout out
stuff for
Kyler.
us. Wasn't Gannon supposed to be the culture guy? How did a team known for being tough, resilient, and gritty the past 2 seasons turn into this subpar product? That's a great question. That is a phenomenal question.
And I'm glad you asked. Anyways, we don't have an answer, dude. We don't have an answer.
John
That's
Prime
how
says
John gets it.
Moral victories just cope at this point.
It's some copium.
Nope, we all love it. I don't love the argument of who can we get that's better than Petzing right now. Who cares if they are as bad or worse than Petzing? We're headed for below 500 record anyway. Sunk cost fallacy at this rate, more than Petzing will just be gone. We're going to get into that here in just a moment. Big Bird, thanks for checking us out, my man. And so funny because normally whenever,
if I can toss this at you,
yeah,
good friend of ours, Connor Drios, texted me, huffing a little bit of copium as well. He said, "Hear me out. Get through the year. JG gets one more chance. Fire Petzing, hire Mike McDaniel when he inevitably gets fired by Miami." I'm like, it sounds fun. I don't know, but let me toss out to chat. What do you think? no matter how this year ends, one more year of Jonathan Gannon and Mike McDaniel is your new offensive coordinator when he inevitably gets fired by Miami. Throw something in the comments. Let us know. Donnie Drew, back to you.
And it's so funny because entering this year, and I still believe this, people said Jonathan Gannon was on the hot seat, and I defended JG, saying
So did
the
I.
only way that really happens is if something catastrophic occurs, like top
this?
like top 5, top 10 pick, catastrophic. The Cardinals now have a 10% chance to make the playoffs. They are obviously the worst team in a very, very tough division. So it's not like you can sneak in through that avenue. I'm just at a complete loss for words, man. I really, really am. And it's so funny because normally on Mondays we evaluate the game and what happened and things of that nature. But like this loss was so just heavy. It really sets you up to think about the rest of the season and what could happen, what can't happen, what may transpire.
Yeah.
And I don't
Here's
know.
something to think about, Donnie. When we normally talk about Cardinal losses, there's usually one constant that gets brought up first. What is it? Cardinals lost. What's the first thing most fans are going to point to?
Play calling through Petzing.
Kyler Murray.
Yep.
90% of the time, people are going to go for Kyler Murray. We haven't said one thing about Kyler on this show outside of comments that he made or football hitting him in the face. A lot of the times, your quarterback wins and loses you football games. And a player of Kyler Murray who has, call what it is, just very polarizing presence in Arizona sports, I feel consensus everywhere that I have seen people talk about this loss, Kyler is nowhere near the top of the things that people are bringing up about this game.
Yeah.
One of the worst losses in recent memory for the Cardinals. No one has a word to say about Kyler Murray.
Nor should they.
That is the level of catastrophic loss we're staring at, is the collective go-to scapegoat of losses. And he's not entirely a scapegoat because he does lose football games. That's not what I'm trying to personify him as. There we go. But not a single person has gone, well, Kyler did this better. No, everything that we're seeing about this game, play calling, culture, finish plays. This loss is encompassing of the leaders up top. Donnie, me and you love JG. We have defended him since he got here. We came into the year and both of us said, no matter how this year goes, it would take something catastrophic for him to get fired, even if they don't make the playoffs. Especially with a head coach or an owner as patient as Michael Bidwell is, sometimes patient to a fault. There were certain errors that went on a little longer than they should have. I don't know if this is a loss that Gannon can rebound from. Statistically, teams that are 1-4, and believe me, as a Ravens fan, this is something that I am upset about. I want to say it is 7% of teams that start 1-4 to a season make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Historically, 7%. That might as feel, let's try again. That might as well feel like 0 for just about anyone at that point. That is such a minuscule number in the decades and decades and decades of football. Cardinals are not making the playoffs, man. I talked about the schedule going into the year as being backloaded. They are 2-3. They have 4 more games in the NFC West, none of which they're winning. They still have to play Tampa. They're losing that game. That's on the road. They still have to play Cincinnati. I'm not going to lie to you. Jake Browning, Cincinnati, I think I might take them, especially in Cincinnati. I would take them. You still have to play Houston. You still have to play Dallas. You still have to play Green Bay. Donnie, I don't know how many more wins I see. I really don't. I'd have to look at the schedule again. I literally just did this last week. I did a redo my new prediction of how the season was going to go. And I still said 8-9 because I was like, you know what? They're still right there. 8-9, 9-8. This is where we thought they would be. This is where they should be. After this game, no, I don't know if I see another win. You might have the number 1 pick.
I'm not going that far.
I will go that far. This team showed it gave me no reason moving forward to have any faith that they can win a close game or blow out a team that they're supposed to blow out, because they were supposed to do both of those yesterday. They could be 4-1 this year. They could easily be 4-1, and they're not.
Yeah, and I think what hurts is, like, this was supposed to be the year. Like, and we talked a little bit earlier about Jonathan Gannon doing what he did in 2023 and 2024. It's like, okay, now we have expectations. Now you have loaded up a roster, and like, injuries have played a part. Like, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that injuries to the secondary. We have yet to see first-round pick Walter Nolan like on the field at all. Like, losing Will Hernandez to that ACL injury and having to plug in Isaiah Adams and like rely on him, like that's obviously
he needs
like
to get
hasn't
cut.
worked out.
He should not be on this team next year. I'm not saying cut him right now, but for 2026, he cannot be on this team.
Yeah, there's good of piece coming out tomorrow on the SL.com/NFL/Cardinals talking about changes they need to make, and that is one of them. Boy, like,
Notifications on.
is this quite the year to cover the Arizona Cardinals? And I'll just leave it at that. XZ says it's just bad. Home games are basically away games. People in the Valley are not excited. Our leadership is bad top down. We need a revamp.
I want to jump in on that.
Mm-hmm.
As a Sun Devils fan, I love that you bring up the home games are basically away games. The whole thing that Kenny Dillingham has been working on with Arizona State is activate the Valley. And the reason why is because there's so much to do in Arizona. It's not far drive from Rocky Point, or Las Vegas or San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
The weather's nice. You want to go to snow? Couple-hour drive up to Flagstaff. A lot of good golf courses. A lot of fun that you can have down here. Everything is very close by. If you do not give me a reason to come and spend my hard-earned cash to watch your team, I'm not going to. Yep. That's the way it's been for the Sun Devils. That's the way it's been for the Cardinals. That's the way it was for the Suns. When I was in college, Johnny, 10 years ago, some of my buddies were like, hey, do you want to go to a Suns game? And I'm like, dude, the Suns suck. And they're like, yeah, we know, but Steph Curry's playing. We're going to go watch Steph Curry. That's what the Cardinals are putting out for you right now. If someone may come up to you in a couple of weeks and they're like, hey, do you want to go see the Cardinals game? It's like, no, they're playing the Packers. We're going to lose. And it's like, yeah, but Mike Parsons is playing. I want to see Mike Parsons. Like, that's where you're at right now. No one wants to watch these games. So it's really hard to sell a home environment to a fan base that is like, I'm not going to spend my money on this. This is shit. Yeah. I'm not going to go down and sit there and watch my team lose and pay excess amounts of money for alcohol and food, deal with traffic. Like, it's not worth it. And then the stadium gets taken over, and then it is another away game for the Cardinals, and it just brings everything down. This has been a problem for years.
To your Mike McDaniel point, there are some people in the chat that agree and disagree. No, McDaniel is not a leader. Mike McDaniel comes from the same tree as Putzing, bring on the old Jags head coach, or Gruden. I would love McDaniel, but my confidence in Gannon would be shot. I also think going through a mini rebuild of season keeps trending the way it is. Yeah. Also, you got some got some love in the chat, Richie. What a day for you, my man. What a day. Yeah, I think, and just going through some more comments, I think 7 years has been enough for Kyler. I'm not a Kyler hater like most people, but I think it would be in his best interest, as well as the interest of the team, to just move off of him. I think that's a conversation that is going to need to start happening sooner rather than later if trends continue to persist like they do in the desert. The next Cardinals win may come week 18 when they play the Rams. When the Rams are winning their starters. I don't know, man. I'm not going too far. Minnie the Dinosaur is very excited for the Dallas Cowboys Monday Night Football game. Jakai says that prevent defense will keep playing is allowed a deep ball to put opposing teams in field goal position each of the losses. And I will say, while the Cardinals defense has statistically been very, very good, the just inability to shut teams down at the end of drives in all three of the last games has been something. Yeah. It absolutely has. Yeah, remember that we had an opportunity to get Sean Payton back when we were coach searching, but we settled for a proven loser and Jonathan Gannon. They had Payton here on a visit. I'm not sure what happened, but they did have Sean Payton here on a visit. Bird's eye
How
views
different would this team be?
I don't know, man. Because Sean Payton had a lot of experience. He's a Super Bowl winner, right? With the Saints.
Bounty Gate.
No, they didn't win a Super Bowl during Bounty Gate, did they?
They sure did. That's how they won it. They knocked Kurt Warner out. They knocked Brett Favre out. That was Bounty Gate.
Who did they
2009. Beat? The Colts. Surprise onside kick to start the second half. Tracy Porter with the dagger pick six. You might need to rewatch a really good Super Bowl, my guy.
Dude, I've been the Arizona Cardinals have done irreversible damage to
you do look older, buddy. That 30-year age did hit you.
Is it the hat? Do I need to switch the hat? I'll switch the hat. But that helped me look younger. I'm gonna get tattoos next.
Hello there, young man.
Oh, good.
Oh, no, there he is. Oh, geez, Grandpa's back.
All right, so
you're older than me. Shut up, Donnie.
Oh man. Let's talk, man. Let's talk. I have 3 key people I want to talk about, not just for right now, but also just for the rest of the season. And I think it's time we have some very honest conversations about these people. Jonathan Gannon. I have been Jonathan Gannon's number one supporter in the desert since the moment he stepped foot in here. I admire the leadership quality to step in front of a microphone week after week and take accountability for what's happened, not point fingers, to basically absorb everything bad that's happened with this football team. From a media perspective, I get it. I understand it. I know fans don't want to hear. I love the play calling. If you have a problem with it, come to me. Fans don't want to hear that. I completely get it. From a leadership aspect, I can respect it. But what's happening is after this Cardinals offense sputters and doesn't get the job done week after week after week, you are being held responsible now. Since you are going to say, hey, you know what? It starts with me. Okay, JG, it does start with you. We've lost 3 games in a row, my guy. 3. What are you going to do? Because even if you're not calling the plays, even if you're not some offensive mastermind, the CEO role that you are playing, allowing Drew Petzing to run that show, the show's not going great. And if Drew Petzing is going down with this ship and you are giving the thumbs up, a green lighting it, all of that good stuff, you're going down with him.
No.
You're sinking with him.
Yeah.
And so I understand it. I understand it to a point. But also flipping this over to Drew Petzing, I don't think they fire him mid-season. I do not think Drew Petzing is gone mid-season. I think so long as the Cardinals aren't getting blown out 40-0 every game, and they are still mathematically a possibility for the postseason, I think he's 7%. Still employed. I think Drew
100%.
Petzing is still employed because the problem is, Richie, and somebody brought it up in the chat. The problem is, who are you going to get? Right now, if you were to fire Drew Petzing right now, who's calling the plays? The top two guys that would have called plays for the Arizona Cardinals were Spencer Whipple and Clayton Adams, and both of them are gone.
Can we talk about Clayton Adams again? Or do you think we've talked about that one enough?
That was such a big loss. That was not so the assistant coach to lose. Big of a loss. And it wasn't like oh man, like he just moved laterally. He just wanted to get out of here. Like he took the offensive coordinator job for the Dallas Cowboys. And like I understand that like
Schottenheimer need to hire him as your head coach if you want him back.
Brother. Clayton Adams is working wonders for that Cowboys offense. Listen to Dallas people talk about Clayton Adams. He's not the play caller there. Schottenheimer is. But you would be remiss if you didn't at least acknowledge and look at what the Cardinals are doing with the same ingredients, the same guys.
Mm-hmm.
Night and day different. Night and day different.
Day and night.
Bump. Jamal says Petzing should have been gone after that Commanders game last season. John says JG's comments about the play calling is just an insult to all the fans' intelligence. Jamal says Kyler ain't the problem. Last two games proved so. Fully agreed. Fully agreed.
Kyler is a problem, but not these last two games. These last two games have not been on Kyler.
Dude, even the year, man. Like I can't.
As a whole, I don't think this is the Kyler Murray year.
No, I don't think so.
He's contributed, but.
Jakai says 2 losses fired at the bye. I think depending on what those 2 losses look like, maybe. I still have a hard time believing they'll fire Drew in season, and then Jakai says Clayton Adams knew it. Clayton did know it, man. Clayton saw the writing on the wall and got out of here and took another opportunity. Granted, a step up going from offensive line coach to offensive coordinator, but
right.
Good guy. I do want to bring this back, Richie, because I think my biggest gripe was ball around midfield, a little over 2 minutes left. You try to run the ball, drain some clock, and the Titans start calling timeouts. It's like, okay, like you know they're trying to preserve time to go on a 2-minute drill. You know the run game hasn't been shit all year. All year. Even whenever James Conner and Trey Benson were healthy, you have not been able to run the ball. Why are you not putting the game in Kyler's hands?
Yeah.
That's probably one of my biggest gripes from yesterday is you have an uber athletic quarterback who can make something happen either on the air or through the ground. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 79 yards in the first quarter and didn't even get looked at again for almost another full 3 quarters. Like that's blasphemous. Yep. Trey McBride, I feel like, was barely part of the game plan.
I don't remember Trey McBride's name getting called, man.
All of these things just they just add up. They just add up, and like I know Drew Petzing is not fumbling footballs. I know Drew Petzing is not missing blocking assignments or dropping footballs or like whatever it might be. But like in a gotta have it scenario, and I feel like this has been a theme under Jonathan Gannon the last couple of years. And a gotta have it scenario, that's what we pull out.
Yeah.
We're gonna run ourselves into a brick wall over and over and over again. What are we doing? What are we doing? I do think the writing is on the wall for Drew Petzing. I think at the end of the year, I do think he's gone. If we're making projections right now, I think he's out of here. Do I think it happens in the middle of the year? Somebody brought up the bye week, maybe. Unless they drop goose eggs back to back, I have a hard time believing it. But I also would have had a hard time believing that the Cardinals would be 2-3 through 5 weeks of football before the year. So,
right. Or at least that one of those losses would be Tennessee.
Dude. 0-4. You have Cam Ward verbatim telling reporters we're ass. And then that happened.
Week ago. Yep.
Mind-numbing. Do you have anything on Petzing before we move on?
No, I don't think we're going to get the resolution to him being on as quickly as we would like,
No,
unfortunately.
no, we're not. Really quick before we hit Kyler, Jonathan Gannon, stay, go.
I don't know. I
I
love
think he's here.
Jonathan Gannon, but
Same.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's just getting really hard to defend that. But what you're trying to turn your team around and build it through with the culture and all those trigger words and everything, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do, and you're losing games because of that.
yeah. At a certain point, you get paid millions of dollars to be a head coach of a football team that you are responsible for. Win, lose, draw,
Yep.
whatever it might be, you are responsible for it. And like I said earlier, I don't have a problem with him absorbing the blame for the offensive struggles, even though that's not his side of town on the coaching staff. But
Sure, but
with
he's
that,
the head coach.
you have to be prepared after doing so. You have to be prepared to take it on the chin.
Yep.
I think JG stays. I think he has at least one more year here.
I
I
hope
do
so.
think there needs to be some major offensive changes made, and hitting on that. I think this might be Kyler's last year in the desert, but not due to poor play, not due to him needing to get out of town. But like at this point, like it's been 7 years and like it just hasn't worked.
Right.
It just hasn't worked. I think Kyler himself might be better off in a new opportunity playing under a system that can utilize his talents a little bit better. And I think if you're the Cardinals and the season continues going like it does, like you're going to be in position to get a pretty good quarterback in next year's draft.
Next year's draft's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. There's a lot of quarterbacks.
Look,
Some of them are going to
I
be
would agree
going
with
back.
this. This season is not on Kyler Murray. Like I do not want words to be minced at all. This is not a Kyler Murray problem.
Surprisingly, for fans, Kyler has contributed. I think the 3 losses have not been on Kyler.
I would agree.
I think they've been on play calling, special teams, and just some miserable mental errors.
Yeah, this year is not on Kyler Murray at all. I do not think he's been a problem, and I also think he's being very limited in Drew Petzing's offense because they're not able to get the ball going. The passing concepts are just not there. They're not on par with the rest of the league, and like for whatever reason, like him and the receivers just don't seem to be on the same page, man. If it's not Marvin Harrison Jr. last week, it's Michael Wilson this week. It's just time after time after time where it's just like it's not clicking, man. It's not clicking. And what other changes can you make offensively to turn this around?
Right.
Like, I am genuinely asking you or anybody in the chat, what can you do right now, realistically, that'll turn this ship around?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know. I don't know.
I don't think
I
one
would.
trade fixes it. I don't think one cut fixes it. I don't think one return from injury fixes it. I don't think one firing fixes it. I think there's a lot that needs to be fixed right now. There's fat that needs trimmed. There's parts of the team that needs to just be cut off. There's additions that need to be made. There is not a single fix. There's not 2 or 3 or 4 fixes. It turns out this is still a rebuild. But unfortunately, we were led to believe that it was going to be turned around quicker than we thought. Because again, if Arizona won 4 games in consecutive seasons, we're not surprised where they're at.
No.
But they showed a lot of growth last year. And that raised the expectations. And rightfully so. This is not the fans' fault. This is not something that fans need to go, man, maybe it's my fault for raising expectations. No, it's not your fault. Because a lot of people were excited.
They did it to themselves. They pushed all of their chips into the middle of the table with what they currently have.
The franchise, not the fans.
Yes. No. Yeah. 100%. No, and I can't fault fans for thinking they were going to make the playoffs because as somebody who covers
Heck
the
no.
team, who's in the facility on a daily basis, I thought the same thing. It's like that Stephen A. Smith video where he's like, we were hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, led astray.
Brother, the national media looked at the Cardinals as a sleeper playoff team. So this wasn't just the fans. And it's not like the fans were just coming after not coming after. The fans were just kind of taking stuff out of nowhere. There's a lot to oh, can you keep that up there 1 second? I just want to make sure that I can save that for myself because Donnie hates when I get my props. So John,
Yeah, I hate it so much I brought it up. Yeah, I hate it so much.
Yep. John, appreciate you, brother. No, his second comment. I love that. Pull that up. Being gaslit. That might as well be what the Cardinals are doing. They're like, we're going to do it this year. And it's like, okay, I'm in. Like, they roll you in. And it's like, oh, you got to be. Gaslighting is not real. You made it up because you're crazy. That's what it is. That's what the Cardinals are doing. Hey, re-up your season tickets. This is the year. And it's like, okay, I'm going to trust you because I'm a sports fan and I'm way too trusting. And trust me, I'm a sports fan. I'm way too trusting. Oh, the Ravens are going to win it this year. I believe them. Nope, don't do it. Sports ruin your life. People think I'm kidding when I say I hate football. I'm not. I hate football because of what it does to me.
Boy, I would hate for us to get rid of Kyler, but then keep Petzing and try to draft the quarterback who will continue to suffer. If they get rid of Kyler and keep Drew Petzing, that is malpractice. That is malpractice to the highest degree. I don't think that happens. That shouldn't happen. I don't think it'll happen. If that happens, we're going to have a hell of an episode whenever that actually occurs.
This house might be on fire.
Trying to shove Kyler into a game manager type role that could be run by Joe Flacco's coaching. Kyler will tell you about using big words, brother. I dropped that in community college. He has unique physical gifts, and Petzing wants him to be a pure pocket passer. Yeah, and then Darth Vader coming in. They need to understand that they are not a power running team anymore, and Drew Petzing needs to make some changes or it gets fired. And this to me, Richie, Jakai, I do agree. I do think Miho, when he's fully healthy, because I guess he was on a snap count this past week. Miho needs to be in the lineup, and I'm at a point too where like I'm ready to give Kelvin Beachum the keys at right tackle. I don't care if Jonah Williams is on a 2-year, $30 million deal. I think Kelvin Beachum. Who said it, Richie? Who said it? That guy.
Is it me?
So smart. You're so smart. You're such
it might
a
be
good boy.
Me. Oh, stop it, you.
This is a foundational thing, though, Richie. They can't make any changes because they box themselves into a corner in the offseason by running it back with the same group, but they lost their primary source of run schematics in Clayton Adams. Isaiah Adams clearly is not the offensive lineman they were hoping to be. And it doesn't matter who you have back there.
That's not James a UFL player.
James Conner, Trey Benson, you. It doesn't matter who's running the ball. Like they are not going to run the football like they did last year. They can't get anything going, man. They really, really can't. So
they weren't doing it when they were healthy. They weren't doing it when they were healthy. Like I'm so deadly serious. Jeremiah Love might be on the board in the draft next year. You have to really think about it.
No, you bulk up the offensive line, man. Like that, the offensive line needs to be one of the top priorities next year.
Depends what you do in free agency. You also got to remember you're trying to give Cardinal fans a way to buy back in. And you give them a brand new shiny running back. That's jerseys. That's heat and seats. Lot left for us to find out. All I know is me and a lot of Cardinal fans are hoping that we'll get a brand new Jordan Tyson jersey for the Heat. Don, are you frozen perfectly still? I feel like Donnie's frozen. Is it just me? Chat is Is Donnie frozen or am I frozen? Chat, let me know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Johnny is just doing a great job being completely frozen. Oh no, Donnie's out. Okay, no, it's Donathan. It's not your boy. So okay, well, let's talk a little bit more while we are waiting on Don. This is just not the way that we had wanted the season to go. I think that's fair to say because the expectations you had were raised by Jonathan Gannon and the ways that the team had performed a year ago. That just happens. You play good football, people get invested. Then they do what they did last year, and they're right on the playoff cusp. They make the moves they did in the offseason. It's not like we saw the Cardinals weren't doing what they needed to do in order to get better. It's not like we didn't see the Cardinals were struggling to go all in. For all intents and purposes, it felt like the Cardinals went all in on getting this team back to the playoffs. They invested on the defense. They invested in the pass rush. They got better in the trenches. They added some star players like Will Johnson in the secondary. They go through and just make sure that what worked on offense was going to stay that way. So in theory, you would still be able to move the ball offensively. That's obviously not how this ended up shaking out, which turned into one of the biggest reasons why the Cardinals have struggled so much is because they have not been able to be better on offense than they were a year ago. So, Donnie, you back, my friend?
My internet dropped. I hate if anybody works at Cox watching this. Count your days, buddy. Count your days, man.
You got to move up to surprise. Cox is treating me very good, my friend. I am very happy with my Gigablast right now.
Did I miss anything? Did you find any scenarios where the Cardinals could be good again?
No, I was just going over with them again that we had reasons, we had understandment for why the expectations were being raised. We had reasons to believe that the team was going to be better. We are completely justified in being disappointed with this team. We are completely justified in being very frustrated, very upset that things didn't get better. You raise the minimum expectation. That's where this starts and ends, man. So is it Jonathan Gannon's fault that the wheels have fallen off this dramatically? Maybe not necessarily, but you also have to understand that you applied that pressure to yourself. And the thing that I emphasized was it's not like the Cardinals sat in idle. We did see them, for all intents and purposes, try an all-in approach. They didn't do enough to the offense. Yeah, that is what it is. They were hoping that they could lean on what worked last year. We didn't love it. We were like, okay, well, as long as it works again. But they made the investments on the defensive side of the football. They spent money. They used high capital drafts to add these talented players, and it's just it's not working. So that's a huge issue that you have right now is it's not like fans were pulling this out of nowhere because the Cardinals look better and they went in on it. That's the difference. If they had won 8 games and they had just done nothing, there is a possibility you're like, might have been fluky. Might have been a fluky 8-9 season. But they went 8-9 and they got better or did not get worse across the board in terms of the roster. And you're like, yeah, okay, they can win 8 games again. Why not?
Yes.
So,
No, I would tend to agree, my man. You have anything
back
else
to you,
for
Andy. I think that's all I got, my friend. I think there's a lot of BS going on with this team right now that needs to get figured out. That's what I think.
I would agree. What a time to cover the Arizona Cardinals. What a time to be an Arizona Cardinals fan.
Right, wrong, or different.
Just speechless, man. Speechless. I like I said at the top of the show. I sat in the press box for probably an hour trying to sort my thoughts and my feelings about this team and what I thought of them moving forward. I think I'm still in the same boat today. I don't know what to think. Jonathan Gannon talks at 2:45 local time later on. Maybe I'll get a different feeling after seeing that. I doubt it. I don't think anything massive is coming in terms of change, but the Cardinals now have themselves in a hole that I do not think they can get themselves out of. And considering everything that happened this offseason heading into the year with all of the hype, all of the adjustments made to the roster, especially in the first half of the schedule that was considered very favorable in terms of like opposing win percentage last year. This is when you were supposed to handle business, and they did not handle business. And now there's a lot of questions, both for the end of 2025 and possibly beyond, of what the Cardinals are going to look like. And you know what? Deservingly so after everything that we had seen. So, um,
Bro really said speechless and then talked for 55 minutes.
let's get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI Podcast. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBats36. Follow me on Twitter at Dunn. Drop some internet providers I can switch to after my internet went out. But until next time.